Hello, my name is Saman Khaksefidi from Higher Educational Complex of Saravan, Iran. Thank you so much for viewing my PowerPoint presentation. Let me ask you a question. How would you feel if you're unfairly reproached for being a bad and weak teacher? If you want to find answers not to have this feeling, please follow me on investigating EFL observers' bias based on students' evaluation. In the outlines of the study, we have introduction, which introduces the topic and talks about the significance and objectives of the study. Then we have a literature review, which discusses the related review on the topic. Then we have the method of the research, and then results and discussion, and at last we have the summary and conclusion. Introduction. Here the burden is put on the shoulders of administrators to provide an opportunity to assess their teachers and provide appropriate feedback for them in order to improve language teaching and learning. Glazerman and Saifullah state that there is an obvious need for teacher evaluation systems that include the spread of verifiable and comparable teacher evaluations that distinguish teacher effectiveness. Also, Saparifer and Khadif suggest that supervisors do not receive much professional training to be a supervisor. They inherently act on the traditional old conception of supervision, which can be summarized as positional authority. And we should not always depend on or rely on supervisors and evaluators as professional ones. They might not be trained or professional, and they might also be biased in their evaluations. This study is important because less attention has been paid to evaluating the evaluators in most of the educational institutes. Sometimes the students are better evaluators because they're faced with some defects or strong points in teaching much more than an observer is faced, and this can help in becoming aware of the advantages and disadvantages of a teacher in language teaching. Also, evaluating the evaluator actually for bias needs more attention, because in case the evaluators or observers take sides, then the whole evaluation process is under question. This study is done to help administrators and evaluators have a more objective and useful result in their evaluations. Objectives of the study: having a proper evaluation system by eliminating the biased evaluations of the observers and the students, and also improving the quality of instruction by the teachers are the objectives of this study. In the literature review part, as you can see, there are 3 subdivisions. The first one includes the guidelines for evaluating teaching prepared by the University of Michigan. And in the second and third part, Johnson and Abrami talk about their views on evaluation or evaluating the evaluators. Many scholars and institutes have conducted research on observer and peer evaluation. University of Michigan has prepared guidelines for evaluating teaching. These guidelines include factors for successful classroom, which are reviewing course materials, pre-observation meetings to discuss observation, feedback. There are key qualities of effective teachers, which are having formal teacher preparation training, holding certification of some kind, standard, alternative, or provisional, being certified within their fields, having taught for at least 3 years, to be caring, fair, and respectful, holding high expectations for themselves and their students, dedicating extra time to instructional preparation and reflection, maximizing instructional time by effective classroom management and organization, and some other qualities. Johnson suggests that teachers can be de-skilled if the evaluation results are incompatible with teachers' knowledge about their views of good teaching. Abrami discusses that there are now very few universities in North America at which the evaluation of teaching effectiveness is undertaken without recourse to student ratings of instruction. In fact, Abrami emphasizes on the student's role in evaluating their teachers. And he says that an evaluation form is given to the students, just the observer's form, and they're required to weigh their teacher's abilities and characteristics. This study is quite similar to the research done here, but the difference is that, in this study we're going to discuss about two important research questions are posed here. First, is there any significant relationship between observers' evaluations and students' evaluations of the teachers? Second, should the students' evaluations of their teachers be incorporated and trusted in the evaluation curriculum? Well, we have the method, which includes participants, instruments, data collection and analysis procedures, which are going to be discussed here. The participants are EFL students, EFL teachers, and EFL observers. EFL students are 40 students, and then there are 10 distinguished observers and an experienced EFL teacher. As instruments, we had a questionnaire prepared by Chugach School District. 43 items out of 72 were selected from this questionnaire, which were more relevant to students and their choices of evaluation. The answers were ordered from 1 to 6. 1 showed the strongest level of ability in a question, and the continuum went to 6, which showed the weakest level. The original questionnaire was used for observers, but an equivalent translation into Farsi was given to the students because they were native speakers of Farsi, and the original questionnaire might not have been understandable to all of them. The observer and the students answered the questions in one session. And this study was conducted in Shiraz, Iran. Data collection and analysis procedures. The data were collected through stratified random sampling. The students and observers were asked to respond to 43 questions. A brief explanation of the Farsi equivalent of the questionnaire was provided to clarify the process of answering the questions for the students. Students and the observers' answers were collected, and the correlation among them was tested statistically. The correlation between the observers' opinions and the students' opinions was computed through SPSS to show the difference between the two and to see if there's significant relationship between their opinions or not. Descriptive statistics also provides more information on the mean and the standard deviation of the opinions. The reliability of the translated equivalent of the questionnaire into Farsi language was also computed through SPSS to make it more reliable to use. Results and discussion. Here we have a table showing the correlation between students and observers' evaluations of the teachers. Guess what? Pearson correlation here equals 0.84, showing a very high correlation between students and observers' evaluations of the teachers. This shows that students' evaluations are as reliable as observers' evaluations, and they can be trusted as valid evaluations. And then we have the reliability analysis of the translation equivalent questionnaire. Here, Cronbach's alpha equals 0.72, which shows that this questionnaire or this equivalent is reliable. And then we have the descriptive statistics for the students and observers' evaluations of the teachers. The standard deviation for the student's opinion equals 0.93, and the observer's opinion equals 1.18. Comparing these two standard deviations, we can see that students' opinions or students' evaluations of their teachers are more homogeneous than the observers' evaluations of the teachers. Moreover, the main difference between the evaluations have been in the items related to subjects other than just teaching, such as the class environment or the management of materials. And now it's time to answer the research questions. Question number 1. Is there any relationship or significant relationship between the students' evaluations of the teacher and the observers or distinguished observers' evaluations of the teacher? Well, the answer is definitely yes. There is a high correlation between the two, and the result indicate that the students, as the participators in most of the sessions taught by the teacher, can be appropriate evaluators of the teacher. And we know that observers cannot take part in all of the sessions taught by the teacher, or it's not possible for all of them to do that. And it's very rare that an observer takes part in all the sessions held by the teacher. That is why their evaluations have been quite similar to that of the experienced observers. And sometimes we can say that students' evaluations can be more appropriate and more valid than the evaluators and observers themselves, because they're more familiar with the idiosyncrasies and the features and characteristics of the teacher. And now question number 2, which is about incorporating a student evaluation in the overall evaluation plan. Well, including a student evaluation program in the evaluation plan of the language institutes, schools, and universities can help in getting more accurate and generalizable results. Yes, we can say that just including the observer's evaluation and then concluding about the teacher's evaluation and the teacher's effectiveness is not appropriate. We should also take the student evaluation into consideration. And furthermore, the learner's attitude towards their own learning can be a better view because they're considered important in the process of teacher evaluation. And it is no longer true that learners are taken for granted to be asked about the process of teaching that goes on in their classes. And student evaluation should definitely be incorporated in the overall evaluation plan. And this is not something to be recommended. This is something that must be done in order to validate our evaluation. What are the implications of the study? In fact, inappropriate evaluations are avoided by removing the biased evaluation from the evaluation systems, and then it can lead to more effective teaching and learning. Universities and colleges, institutions, schools, teacher education centers, teachers and students, and evaluators can benefit from this. Summary and conclusion. There are some worries about student surveys and student evaluations. Ishgaren Esnazenella mentioned that lecturers have some concerns about evaluating the education and instruction of staff's competence with student surveys. They're skeptical about student evaluation and student surveys. This is because of the thought that students might not answer objectively, or they might give biased answers to the questions. The precautions taken during the applying of the surveys can easily pass this problem. Wiping out the biased answers from the questions and the extreme answers from the whole sample can easily solve this problem. In fact, students' evaluations can be as reliable as observers' evaluations in the whole evaluation system. Then we have applying multiple groups of people involved in teacher evaluation, which can lead to a more valid evaluation, particularly students' evaluation of EFL teachers because of their long-term involvement with the teacher and his or her characteristics. Actually, applying multiple methods can be very valid, just depending on one group, just as observers or students can be inappropriate. Just as the mixed methods in research that are more reliable and more valid, we should apply multiple groups to corroborate our evaluation and the results of our evaluations. Educational institutes can apply student evaluation as an effective process in reassuring their proper and unbiased evaluations conducted by the observers and evaluators. Marsh has stated some student rating criteria such as multidimensionality. Also, he called it reliable and stable, primarily a function of the instructor who teaches a course rather than the course that is taught. Relatively valid against a variety of indicators of effective teaching. Relatively unaffected by a variety of variables hypothesized as potential biases, seen to be useful by faculty as feedback about their teaching, by students for use in course selection, and by administrators for use in personnel decisions. Of course, educational institutes mostly incorporate students' opinions, but the turning point in this research is that sometimes the evaluation can act the other way around. That is, students' opinions can be a criterion to check the biasness of the observer's evaluation of EFL teachers. High level of correlation between student and observer evaluation emphasizes the application of student evaluation in evaluation programs. In Sistan, the region that I come from in Iran, there is the burnt city called Shahr-e-Sukhte, which dates back to 3200 BC. There are some firsts in the world. We have the first animation in the world. You see that the goat is jumping. Then we have the first artificial eye in the world. We have some jewelry worn by the people, and then a seal that is put on the letters. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and really thank you for your time and attention, and goodbye.